So now, thoughts on job hunting, career switching. This slide focuses on venture capital, and the next slide focuses on marketing or industry in general. Venture capital, private equity. If you don't have a background before, prior to business school, it's going to be really hard to get into post-business school. I was able to do it, but what helped me there was, I got an internship between my first and second year that was in private equity, which helped a lot. And I also crafted my story and targeted firms that I thought would find my background useful. So because I had some expertise in biopharmaceuticals, I only targeted VC or PE firms that were active investors in that space. And I told them, hey, I know I'm not an investor, but I know the space well. I know the commercial and the scientific stuff pretty well too. I'm not the best at Excel or modeling, but I'm good enough. And some of these companies actually made me take a modeling test, but really it's position. It's almost a two-way street. You want to find a company that wants you, and vice versa. Another theme here too is venture capital folks tend to like operational experience, and so if you do have that, leverage that as much as possible. Networking, you have to network and pound the pavement as much as possible. Jobs are rarely posted, and if they are, it's almost too late. If you're committed to this space, I would pay close attention to the fundraising cycle. So if you're not subscribed to PE Hub or DealBook, I would. They announce new fundraisings, and so if a fund is now active and raises a new fund, that means that there's new jobs. So I remember when I was in your shoes, every time there was a new fund, I would email someone there, just cold email them and say, hey, congrats on the new fund. I think I can add value, here's why. And if I knew an alumni on that fund, even better. I talked about internships. If you do happen to get an interview, they're going to ask you what industries look attractive. And so I'd almost approach this as sort of a stock picking exercise. Follow some companies in the spaces that you're interested in. So if it's hospitals, follow HCA, or if it's medical device, understand what's happening with Medtronic, or if it's healthcare IT, understand what's happening with Cerner. So pay attention to that, subscribe to newsletters, that's always good. If you can't get into VCPE, other alternatives are corporate business development. I know plenty of people have made the jump from corporate business development to venture capital. Corporate ventures, the same. Even investment banking, I've seen people make the switch. It's a bit harder, but that's not, you shouldn't rule that out. And finally, the other idea here is some of the larger consulting firms have private equity groups. These groups run due diligence, quick 2 to 3 week diligence exercises for private equity sponsors. Oftentimes, these private equity groups will hire directly from consulting firms. So that's another idea. Bain, I know, has a very established group, but there's also other smaller companies with the same function. Last slide. If you're trying to go into industry, best way I think is to get into a management rotational program, which many of these larger companies have. They'll rotate you every 9 to 15 months. You may have to start in sales, and I know it's painful for people who have been on the phone or who may not want to get into that, but I think it'll give you more credibility in the long run. Prior experience is a plus, but I know a lot of people who just have had zero experience. Again, I come from a political science background. If you can just demonstrate a passion for the industry, understand what's going on, why there's cost pressure, what's up with healthcare reform, I think that's what they want to see. If you're a good athlete, quote unquote, if you are smart and play well with others, they'll do fine. Genentech specifically was very much into culture. Genentech was a consensus-driven place and really weeded out people who didn't play nice with others, and they do that because they make you talk to everybody. Again, networking also applies here too. Most jobs, when I looked at resumes, they weren't through the job board, they were through referrals. And so try to network your way into these companies. And finally, the last line speaks to myself. I got lucky. I didn't formally apply through a job posting. I was a consultant, and I developed a bond with a client, and she hired me in. So that's another avenue for jobs in this sector.